Hi, this is Miss Tarina, and today I'm going to talk about landmarks. What makes a good landmark in orientation and mobility? So, a landmark is something that helps you figure out where you are. And because it helps you keep track of where you are and where you want to go, it's important that you always use the same landmark. And the landmark itself needs to be permanent, meaning always there. It's not going to move. That's why when we're outside, things like stop signs, big restaurant signs, the big mailboxes, things like that, that are not going anywhere, those make very, very good landmarks. So in the house, a landmark, something permanent, well, a lot of people have been deciding to use their couch as a landmark, which is actually a really good idea because couches don't typically move around unless you're rearranging the entire, the whole room. A couch is big, it's comfy, it's great to trail along behind. If it's in the middle of the room, you can find it and go to one side or the other to figure out which way you want to go. So a couch inside, that's a good landmark. Or say a refrigerator. Refrigerators don't typically move. Once they're in the kitchen, they're staying there. It's things like that you want to think about. Your bed, is it going to stay in that same position all the time? Good. You don't want to move it around because once you make it a landmark, it needs to stay there. So, a landmark, always there. Another good thing for a landmark is it's easy to find. You don't want to choose a landmark like your old exercise equipment that is shoved back behind that chest of drawers. Not easy to find. So it needs to be simple and special. It needs to be different and unique. Something in the room that when you find it, you know where you are. Like the couch. Most couches are in the living room. The bed. Most beds are in the bedroom. So something unique to the room that's not going to move and is easy to find. So, a landmark can be visual. It can be something you see, like maybe in your hallway or above your bed is a big, beautiful red painting. That's pretty easy to see. Can be auditory. It could be something you hear. Maybe outside you have wind chimes, and they're usually always blowing. Wind chimes can be a little tricky because sometimes if it's not windy, you won't hear them. But maybe you attach them to the door, and so every time the door opens, they always chime. That would be a good landmark. They can be a smell. Smells are another one of those tricky things that can sometimes come and go. But there can be a certain scent that is always happening. Like, I know some people love to always burn vanilla candles. My mother always burns a vanilla candle in her bathroom. Always smells like vanilla in her bathroom. Or maybe you smell the cat box. Depending on how often they're used, they can be smelly or not smelly, but cat boxes usually do have some kind of scent. What else can they be? Well, tactile. A landmark can be tactile. For instance, the back of the couch, like we had talked about. Not only can a couch be a big landmark that you can see, but it can also have a certain texture that you can feel with your fingers. And also, there's a term we call proprioceptive, which basically is your whole body feeling something. Like when your child is in the wheelchair and they go over something bumpy. Well, if they always go over something bumpy before they get outside, that becomes a landmark because the bumpy is always there. They're not feeling it with their hands, but they're feeling it with their body. If you're outside and you go to a curb, a lot of the curbs now have those yellow bumps at the corner, and those are there specifically for people with vision impairments so they know they've reached the end of the corner and they don't want to keep walking into the street. So those are some things you can think about when you're looking around your house or in your backyard of what's a good landmark. So a good landmark is always there, is easy to find, and is special, something unique. And you can use a landmark as visual. It could be something you hear. It can be something you smell, but it's a little tricky. It can be something you feel with your fingers or something you feel with your body. Those are all important aspects of a landmark. The most important thing, though, is a landmark is permanent. So it's always going to be there, and it's always going to be used to indicate where you are. That way you won't get confused. And so if you make the couch your landmark, don't move it. And if you have any questions, just reach out. Miss Elisa and I are always here. Thanks, and have fun scouting for landmarks.